Welcome to day 3 of my absolute beginners get up to speed on the guitar set of videos. Hopefully you're finding them interesting. Hopefully you've liked and subscribed and you're following this and can't wait for the next video. I know I'm having a good time with it. But let's look at this from a really simple collection of what we've been working on. We took all the things that you could have been learning and we basically broke it down to you have to know how to tune your guitar. That tells you the name of the strings. When you have your tuner on the guitar, you can find the string names wherever you happen to be, and you're starting to get a familiarity with them. To that, we added a couple little patterns. The first is the power chord pattern or enhanced power chord pattern. And then we have the basic pattern of the major scale that we apply that 5th step to, and we run again. So we've got our basic idea of the major scale. We also turned our major scale into power chords. We basically just played the power chord sequence for it, and we have now some basic ideas of how we are building things. So how do we go from here? What do we really want to do? Well, remember we reduced the number of chords of interest to the 1, the 4, and the 5 chords of our numerical sequence. Just basically putting a number or assigning a number to each of the notes of the major scale and just noticing which ones correspond to the 1, the 4, the 5, and the 6. And this is where we introduce some neat ideas. So we're not going to go through the mechanics of what's called harmonizing the major scale, at least not yet. It's a little bit tedious, it's a little bit fancy for what we need to do. We just need to basically now say, how do we make a chord that sounds more full? So in a C chord, that's our C chord. You can look it up anywhere. Everyone agrees with this particular kind of chord. All we're really doing is taking the C note we've always been using. We come back to the E note. We play an open G string. We're now going to go into the strings that lie below. There's a C note here and an E note here. And so our C chord is nothing more than this. Now here's where the fun part starts. Everyone hates bar chords. The F chord is often played as a bar chord. And we can play it that way, but we don't have to. We can play it as if it was like a C chord, but all we're going to do is drop from the E string to the G, or from the D string to the G string, moving from the E note to the A note with our finger, and putting our little finger down. That's kind of a faked F chord, but it works well enough for what we're doing, and we need a G chord. A very simple G chord is this standard form. And so these are the major chords of the C major scale. C, F, G. You might say, well, wait a minute, what happened to that evil A chord? Why aren't you talking about it? The A chord is a little different. The A major chord is not part of the C major scale. It becomes a minor chord, and there are reasons we're not going to get into today, but we would play it like this. So it's we're playing that same C note, we're playing the E note, and we're playing the A note. And we play from the 5th string down. And you can hear it sounds a little bit sad. The C note, or C chord, it's bright, a little bit not so bright. Okay? And so we've just basically made the full chords for our C major important chords, C major scale. And this is the key to making almost all the music that we listen to. If you know the 1, 4, 5, and 6 chords, you can play an awful lot of songs. And that's really why we're putting it into this form. And so remember, we've gone from a very simple riff at the start of our exploration, and we've now started to fill out the way it actually gets played and gets used. And so now we've got something to work from. Remember, we're just going to have that C chord, an F chord, a G chord, and an A minor chord. Now this is going to take a little bit of time to get under your fingers. And you might want to look up some other videos on how to play certain chords. I have plenty of them on this as well. But we're now starting to enter into the idea of playing full songs, simple songs, but now we are using the information to our advantage.